Hello and welcome to another episode of Eliteserien Fantasy, where we talk everything about the Norwegian League. My name is Karam and I'm here joined by Espen. In the last stream before 2020 season, game week 1 ahead of us. Espen, welcome. How are you?
Thank you, Karam. I am, of course, fine because now it starts tomorrow in like a few hours. We are there. And today I bought a new TV, so I'm really ready for this season now. And you, Karam?
Yeah, I'm very well. I'm very excited to submit my game week 1, which I have no idea where I'm going because we have a lot of news every day, which we will of course touch on it during this stream. But certainly, I'm looking for a new T-shirt to come in and replace the Aguero one when I stream Eliteserien. So that will be on the way as well. Espen, what is on the agenda for today? We've got a lot to talk about. But of course, we have something to cover, especially from the Friendlies of last game.
Yeah, we have some friendlies. We gotta go through the games. We know Jacob is an expert on those things. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today, but we know the goal scorers. We know some things, so we help with that. We have a lot of questions, both from Twitter and our Slackers. So we want more Slackers, so just join us there. So we will go through that. We have some drafts. We want to show everyone and updates and injuries and maybe even more that shows up suddenly.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, let's kick off, shall we, with the Friendlies report. As we did the last couple of streams, we've been covering the latest friendly matches. We just know how teams lined up, which players have played, how many minutes, and who are on the score sheet, which we are actually, of course, looking forward to get into our team. So last time we covered until the 8th of June, but of course we will start from the 9th of June and 10th of June with the last set of matches have been played. So Espen, let us know on the games and who were on the score sheets and of course who stood out from a fantasy point of view.
First game, 9th of June, Lillestrøm, Kristiansund. Lillestrøm was in Eliteserien last year, but not this year. Kristiansund played a draw there, and Castrati, the goal scorer. He is a 8.0 striker. Don't think anyone is considering him right now, but might be something to look for later. And then you have Stabæk versus Odd. Many teams have gone for a lot of Stabæk players. Odd is, as you said on Twitter, in an odd situation. We don't know for sure how this will work with Børven, and Rashani is out injured. We have to talk more about that. But Stabæk, two players which scored here, who is interesting in fantasy as well. Both of them is in my team right now. Kinoshita, the striker, he is 100% sure the striker for Stabæk because Asemi, the second striker, he is, the rumor says he's on his way back to his old club, Tromsø. So Kinoshita will play. And then you have Mats Solheim, the right back, who is also up in corners. So he's an offensive back, yeah, but he can also score on headers, on free kicks, corners, and so on. Strømsgodset crushed Raufoss from the division under Eliteserien, 3-0. Salvesen, Lars-Jørgen Salvesen, striker 8.5, Ikaunieks and Mava. This might be the front three for Strømsgodset, but we have Tokstad as well, who might play instead of Ikaunieks, because Ikaunieks has been interesting for someone, but I think he is not a regular one. So I wouldn't go there. If you choose one, I will pick Salvesen for 8.5. And then an interesting game, Rosenborg versus Ranheim. I talked with the striker of Ranheim. He said Rosenborg was not good. They won 1-0, okay. But he didn't like the look of Helland. He didn't like the defense and anything. So I'm not sure about Rosenborg right now. And the last one, I don't know much to say, but Vålerenga Glimt 1-0. Williamson subbed off half time. Mikael came in and scored, so that's not good for Williamson. And the last games, Karam, on 10th of June. We just found info from these games. Sarpsborg crushed Start 4-0. Interesting player, Saletros, 5.0 in the midfield. He scored a long shot. Assist from Halvorsen. Boyang assisted as well to Ufkir. And Nikolai Ness and Halvorsen with the last 2 goals. And the last game we need to talk about is Haugesund against Viking. Viljar Vevatne scored for Viking, and a striker who plays on the winger, 6.5, Alexander Amitsbøl, scored for Haugesund. So that's the update on the preseason.
Lovely stuff. Few things have stood out for me from these 7-8 matches. First one is we've been talking about Jonassen as a potential 4.5 bargain from Stabæk. But last game he was actually benched for Vogt at 4.0, which can open a new gem in defense, potentially a 4.0 defensive player who is actually playing. But we don't know for sure if he's nailed on, or for sure he will share minutes with Jonassen, as we have the first 6 game weeks in the first 3 weeks, I believe. So whoever plays game week 1 might potentially be benched for game week 2. But at least keep an eye on the team sheet, because Stabæk are one of the teams will get a team sheet before the deadline, about 10 to 15 minutes. So it would be interesting if Vogt makes it into the main 11, at least for game week 1. It might open an option for a 5th defender or so, depends really on how your team is structured. To me, I was between Jonassen and Vogt until Sulheim scored the goal. Apparently, he doesn't have a backup, if I'm not mistaken. So he is nailed on at 5.0. He's a little bit expensive, but we've seen he has the attacking threat. Kinoshita as well at 6.5 or 6.0 actually, right? So at 6.0, he is bargain. A great option as well. For this price bracket. I don't think he will score 20 goals or so, but he might be a good option for the game weeks where I need him to play. I noticed a lot of clean sheets for teams that they did not have many clean sheets last season, but they are promising this season. Strømgodset, Rosenborg, Vålerenga, Sarpsborg, even Mjøndalen have all kept the clean sheets, and likes of Hans Olsen of Stabæk, Johannessen of Mjøndalen, they have all potential for bonus points as well if they keep it clean sheets or they return at some attacking points. So I'm interested in these teams now, but I'm not sure how the lineups will be. So keep an eye on that. I didn't. Bodo Glimt did not impress me. And Odd as well. They did not have the best preseason. Teams they have performed last season, but I don't expect them. Looking at the preseason now, I don't expect them to do the same this season. So it would be interesting to see their assets if they continue to return or they flop. Espen, what do you think of game week 1? Let's talk about some teams, because the hot topic this week is Molde with their defensive crisis. Currently in the Eliteserien website, all their players in defense apart from Peterson are flagged. So do we have more information from today whether we have some players that can make it or they will miss out on game week 1?
Well, the earliest news is that the Molde defense will be good anyway, because Gregersen, Bjørnbakk, and Holmgren Pedersen, I'm almost 100% sure will play. At least Holmgren Pedersen, he's safe. And Bjørnbakk and Gregersen, it's small injuries and just stood over one training, so they are fine, I'm pretty sure. And that's the question, and then it's the question about the left back. Both Haugen and Kitolano are close to be ready, but we're not sure if the manager will play them or not. If not, I might think a midfielder called Erling Knutson might play as a back, right or left. But Bjornbakk and Gregersen, I'm really sure they are back in business. Well, tomorrow.
Lovely stuff. When we hear the injury of Harald side, he's gonna be out for the rest of the season actually. So we wish him a speedy recovery. Many people have been tempted to go for Peterson, but of course we hear that Wingo, who is classified as a midfielder in is competing with him on the right back spot. So do we think that both of them will share that spot? Who is ahead of nailing on the right back spot?
I think Pedersen is ahead in front of Wingo, but I'm just not sure. When they are losing some players, Foren went out and Harald said, I don't know for sure if the Molde defense is good enough to keep a lot of clean sheets. So I've picked right now another defender from another team instead of Holmgren Pedersen and just go for two Molde players in the front. But do you have Holmgren Pedersen now?
No, I'm Molde-less at the minute. I've had him for a day or two, and then I switched him to Bjornbakk because I thought he is nailed on. At least there is no competition in this moment of time. But of course, now I am without any Molde defender. But if most of the back line would be making it tomorrow, I will be tempted to go with one of them. Probably at 5.5 is the budget I have for a Molde defender. Otherwise, Hayden is putting a lot of pressure. I like him a lot from last season. He's been very, very good. But we will see if he can make game week 1. I'll let you go through the Borvin topic. Probably there are some lag in the stream, so I will have a look at that in the meantime. But we hear the news about Borvin moving away from Odd to Rosenborg potentially. So what do we know about that?
Well, we know for sure that Borvin will be playing a lot of games for Odd first. If not, Rosenborg had to pay some money and buy him out now. I don't think that will happen, but Molde did it with Brynildsen. But I don't think Rosenborg will do it. Someone talked to Borvin, and Borvin just saying that he's ready for his game and he wants to please the fantasy fans and score goals. So we're happy to hear he's thinking about us. And I'm pretty sure he will play against Sandefjord, and that is kind of the most important thing for me to know that he will play that game. If you play against Sandefjord at home, even though there's Rashani is out, I think I have to keep him in my team and captain him. I'm pretty sure of that. So he's in my team now. If he doesn't perform, okay, what's the big problem for me? Okay, maybe someone go Captain James, maybe someone go Eikrem, maybe someone go Helland. But if I don't go with Borvin, I know a lot of players will captain Borvin. I think I will lose more with not going with him. So I'm staying with him, and he will leave to Rosenborg maybe at the end of July or 1st of August, something like that.
Streaming? Okay. Let's see. All right. Hello. We are back, so we hope that the video now is good. Please let us know if you can hear us, which is more important, but it would be nice if you can see us. Espen, we were talking about Borvin. Probably the audio was buffering, so briefly, you said that he is looking forward to the season. He is excited to make the fantasy fans happy as well by scoring a lot of points and a lot of goals. So I look forward to that, and that essentially means that he might stay in game week 1. My concept has always been try beginning of the season with the expensive players, so you can downgrade easier if they fail. But you will be in terrible situation if he hits the ground running, and you have to do a surgery within your team to afford him at this price bracket. So yeah, he is in my team at the minute, but there is a lot of competition from expensive players. We will talk about them very shortly. So speaking about that, the general concept now is how many premium players you can afford within your team. Now we have more or less a better picture from the preseason and the prices. How many premium players you have at the minute, Espen? And premium means at 10 million or more.
It's three. It's Berwin, James, and Akram right now. So that's expensive. And I showed my team to Twitter, got some response, and someone says I've done too much damage in other parts of my team.
Yeah.
But someone is agree with me that those three assets is the first one on the team, and then the rest comes. Because if I sell Berwin, for example, and get in Strand Larsen, I have 3.5 million to use somewhere else, but I can't find where to use those millions. So maybe I'll show my team later, but
yeah, it is already on the screen. I just put it now.
It's already on the screen. Okay, yeah. And as you can see, okay, Kinoshita 6.0. I think he's a great one to have there. I don't want anyone more expensive. Salvesen, yeah, maybe, but I think Kinoshita is a great pick. The only thing I'm thinking about is Myra as a goalkeeper, 4.5. Okay, maybe I should go Claesson from Vålerenga, but that's just 0.5 more. So I think I can fix that without the premiums. The only thing I mean is the problem is that I have a Saletros as my fourth midfielder. Someone else would have Maigor or exactly. I can't name so many. So
yeah,
I'm happy, right? I've been standing here for a long time, and even on the bench, it's the 5.0 defender. I could use those millions somewhere else, but I don't know where. Do you know?
Yes, I think I know. I think at the beginning, I've shared several drafts over the last 2 weeks, and it has always had two premium players between James and Borvin. At sometimes James and Ikram, when we heard about Borvin missing out the preseason, the second last preseason game, and then James being fit, and then Ikram, I don't know, and then at some point, I haven't managed to have three premiums in a team where I was happy. I had to make a lot of sacrifice, and I do think that there are a lot of value in midfield at lower prices that they can perform. They are talisman. They are probably 90 minutes people. In a first 5-6 game weeks where you will test the fitness, you will test a game every 3-4 days. You really need to have good players, but also most likely talisman or key players, the likes of Sandberg, of Hedison, Zachariasen of Rosenborg, Singer Nagel, very much involved in Bodo Glimt. So there are a lot of value picks that you don't want to miss out if you go for 3 premium options. There are some exciting prospects at 5.5 or 6 million, and we will go through the questions shortly, asking about mid-price budget midfielders, but I don't have that to trust. I don't know them yet. They are not proven in Eliteserien just yet. For example, Saletros at 5.0. I don't know what to expect from. Is he the new Evian or he just a fodder? So that still remains to be seen. We do have a question or a comment from, let me see on the chat. Someone said that I didn't even consider Borvin for this. Adam Mack, he did not even consider Borvin because of the uncertainty until now. So looking at that, you do feel that Borvin's head is somewhere else, but we're not sure yet. And we've seen that a lot within the players. They get distracted when there is some rumors about them leaving. His contract is end of July, and he's not signing a new one yet. Probably he won't. So we don't know yet, really. So with no Hagen, with no Stolas in my team as well, I will never be able to afford them when I want to. I have 3 premium options. So one of the questions from Amir Rajab, we will just go through the Slack options. First of all, of course, thanks to everyone who submitted the questions, and we have a very exciting of 30 Slackers joining us, and a lot of interesting and great chat about Eliteserien fantasy. So if you do like to join, I will put the link is already in the description below. You can join us and enjoy an extra pod as well, the Aurora podcast. Amir Rajab is leaving a question: Borvin, keep or sell? And I think we've just talked about that. It's great to start with him. I did not see him leaving many teams. Most of the people are sitting with him. Do you have more thoughts on Borvin?
I hope they heard me when I talked about him earlier, but the audio might buffered. I don't know, but I'm on him. But for sure, Rashani, key player, is out, so that's an issue. He's a new manager. Like you said, his head might be somewhere else, but I think he has to improve now that he is good enough to be a top scorer in Eliteserien. So I don't think he will go to the beach before his contract is done with the odd. Yeah.
All right. Sondri Laxa is asking about James Ekram or James and Ekram or Orvin or Ekram, I think. He wants to ask. So if you have to pick 2 of the 3 premium options, which ones you prefer most, and which one you don't like more? Oh, let's put it this way.
Yeah. Well, since Bourbon is the man who we discuss here, I think he's the one who shouldn't be there. So James and Ikram maybe would be my choice. But if I don't go Bourbon, I'm pretty sure I still will go 3 premiums, because then I just ship him out and go for Helland or Wolfsburg instead.
Yeah. Okay. Before we continue to the Slack questions, we'll just pick up one from the chat from Neil Baxter, our very old follower as well. Welcome, Neil, to the chat. He's asking about Adegbenro at 10 million. Is he expensive?
Well, he scored in the last preseason game now. I think he's more reliable than Helland when it comes to minutes, because Helland is quick to be injured. Adegbenro has a future with a history with his injuries as well, but I think he will play more minutes, and at 10, I don't think he's too expensive. I think he was in my team before the break. So I like the differential pick of Adegbenro.
Yeah, me too. The problem is Zakariasen at 8.5 is offering a good value. We are yet to see how or who's actually gonna hit the form, but Zakariasen I like as an held-on midfielder who is very attacking at 8.5, so I'd rather go to him potentially. Maybe I need Helland before Adegbenro. That's my opinion. Dan Frost is asking thoughts on Buhinen and Castro or Maidard, one of them, of course. I'll just say that Buhinen is currently sort of a no-go for me, because there are a lot of talks about him leaving the Eliteserien. With regards to Castro or Maidard, I think Maidard is very tested. I was looking at the stats from him. He's got 13 bonus points in less than 1,500 minutes, which is about 55% of the Eliteserien season minutes, which is incredible, because the most was Ikram 27, playing pretty much the full season, or 70-80% of the season. So I think Maigard is a talisman. He's on set pieces, maybe on penalties. I'm not sure on this point, to be honest, but you can correct me, Espen. But he is a bonus point magnet as well, so he's likable to the commentary. He might get a lot of bonus points as well. So what do you think of Buhinen yourself?
Well, Boonen also was in my team not long ago, but then it was those rumors if he's going out, and then I can't remember his name, but he said that the Boonen is more defensive than we think. Dag Finn, I think is his name.
Yeah,
and I agree with that because there are three in the midfield, and he, Cassie, and Lumansa might be too defensive, all of them. So that's the reason why I went for other options from Stabæk. But Castro, if we can see Molde team, we will before deadline, and they are playing Rosette and someone else in center back, and
yeah,
I might consider Castro because then maybe Olsen will surprise and beat Molde, and he's a big differential at home on the first round.
Absolutely. I will leave him until the last 10 minutes if I can fit him in somehow. Which actually touch on the second question of Amir Rajab, talking about Molde defense, trust or skip. Now, if I look to last season, it's a trust. If I look at the preseason and the injury situation now, it's a skip. So my answer to this would be actually wait until the team sheet. Let's see who are going for the back line. Maybe Kranets, the goalkeeper, will be playing center back if they don't have enough players. But if I see almost full strong Molde defense, I would still back them. For some teams, they don't perform really well defensively, especially the big teams like Molde champion now. They don't perform that high on the preseason, but when it comes to like official games, they do change a lot. And it would be great to have someone long term. You don't want to spend a lot of transfers on your defense, so Bjornbak maybe will be a good option if he makes it to the 11. And of course, we see Hayden. We can see I don't know. Gregerson did not impress preseason, but at least if he's fit, that will be good. Rudendo asking about the best 4.5 defender, and shall we target teams that play weaker teams like Sandefjord and Mjøndalen? So, what do you think, Espen, of best 4.5 defender?
Best 4.5 defender is Bojang from Sarpsborg for sure. He's a wing back, and he had an assist last preseason game, and he will be offensive every game. And I think he also is so nailed on that team that he will play many minutes. So that's the best pick in that category. And Sandefjord and Mjøndalen, yeah, sure, we're targeting those teams because we always look at the fixtures, and those teams are with start, of course, are the weaker teams. But Sandefjord is the team that always has the focus on the defense. So that might be tricky. I think the manager will focus on it, and they will try to concede as few goals as possible. So I actually believe that games against Start and Mjøndalen might be more goals than against Sandefjord. So that is another note to the Berven captain option this first round, because I know Sandefjord will focus to not concede. So that is a question mark on Berven too.
That's what Sheffield United tried to do when they got promoted in Premier League. They focused more on the defense, have a resolute defense, and they've done very well. Oh, that's very interesting. I think the game between Sandefjord and Mjøndalen was 0-0. So this is sort of like maybe Newcastle versus I don't know, Burnley or Sheffield United. You look at 0-0 games, which makes Mjøndalen defenders less appealing for me, at least. I've currently I do have Solom Jonassen, which he's a placeholder at 5.5, so I might change my mind and ship him
I think
out.
I wouldn't go there, Karam, to be honest.
He's got 20 bonus points. So I think he's getting attacking threats, but he's also a bonus point magnet. So maybe. But yeah,
but in Sandefjord, you have a new 4.0 defender in Foss. It's 3 4.0 defenders that might play. Daland from start, Vogt from Stabæk, and Foss from Sandefjord.
It's good to mention that Daland did not start the last preseason match, but he came on at halftime as part of mass substitution within the team. So will be interesting to see as well if we will get if Daland will get stars, so we get more options at 4.0. I think now the closest is Vogt, but there is always Jonassen to compete with him, and we'll definitely share minutes with him. So let's see. Okay, more interesting, talking about midfield. Ronnie is asking top 5 mid-price midfield options. So probably we're talking about 7.5 or lower. So maybe I have 2 names, you have 2 names. Who stand out from this price bracket?
For me, 2 names. I could mention more, but you said 2, so I keep on 2. One for 7.5 in my team, Niklas Sandberg, on penalties, on free kicks, corners, as long as Stølos is not in the squad. But he is definitely on penalties, Niklas Sandberg. Winger, and he can play the balls into Shellman, who scores the goals. Last season, I think he had a great season last season when he scored 5 and assisted 6 in not many minutes. He played like half the season or something. 13 bonus points. So pretty close to my god, and with kind of the same minutes. And the second one is not in my team, but it's Viking. I think their mid-priced midfielders are much value, since Viking is some of the best teams in Eliteserien, I think, even though they sold 2 key players. I could name the Furdal, but a man proven in Eliteserien is Yildirim Ibrahimai. Corners, some free kicks, and he just know how to play the ball through to the striker. So that's my two names.
I think I've got a couple of more names as well. This one is a little bit of differential. I've got him. I noticed him in a draft when I play when I set up a draft team with some Eliteserien managers. I like the look of Tyler of a brand. He is 7.0. He's coming from Tromsø, I believe. He's got 4 goals and 2 assists last season. Not that much, but we all know how Tromsø have been. Last season, Brann is definitely a much better team. But he was on fire the last game. A goal and assist, I believe. And he looked very, very good throughout the minutes he played. So I like the look of him. The fixtures are mixed bags. Herdesund away, Viking home, Allison away, and then Rosenborg. So the first 3 are good, not so the 4th one. So maybe he is a name to consider. The other name is just a wait and see. Probably he leaves, but JP Haig of Bodo Glimt at 7.5. If he stays, he might be a key player for Bodo Glimt. But there is a lot of talk about him leaving the team as well. These are differential. You know what? Knutson of Molde at 7.0,
Yeah.
he might offer some good value. The question is where and how many minutes he will play. Last game when James went off injured, he played as a striker. I don't think that's gonna be his long-term role. But in a crisis like this, I think Uhi is coming back, so that might not be the best pick, but someone to keep an eye on for sure. You said you have more names to mention, so I'll give you a chance to mention two or more.
Yeah, perfect. Well, it is this guy Furdal from Viking,
Yeah.
7.0 as well. He's number 10. But now it looks like Viking will play 4-3-3 after all. So he will play as side midfielder with Ibrahim Mai. And I think both of them at some point will be really interesting in fantasy. And one from the same team as Hauge in Bodø Glimt. It's Ulrik Saltnes.
Yeah.
I don't actually like the thought of him in my team. But he showed last season he can perform offensively as well. And he is the main man in Bodø Glimt. He is Bodø Glimt, if you know what I mean. So we know he will be good. Maybe not in fantasy, but for Bodø Glimt, I know he will be the man. So someone to look for.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Last name I want to mention is Edvardsen of Stabæk. He there is a chance that he will emerge as a budget midfielder, could be a fourth one. There's a lot of prospects about him, but we don't know how he's not proven Eliteserien, so he's a wait and see for me, but someone to look to keep an eye on. The last name I want to mention is Saletros 5.0.
Yeah,
could be something at Salzburg. He did well over the preseason. He is pretty much nailing on a spot, I believe, but we will see how.
I think he has the spot there.
Yeah. So he's someone to keep an eye on. Maybe he's the new Evian. I don't know. Maybe, but we always have that hope. Nobody can match Evian for sure.
But you mentioned Taylor, and then I want to mention Kumsun as well from Brann. He as well showed last game that he showed us what he did in Sogndal for some years ago. He was brilliant in that team. So maybe he finds his way back there.
Yeah. Well, very well. Let's move on to the forwards, and we have a name about Ostensen, 5.0 forward in Viking. Is he a fantasy goal? We've got some news about Viking, a switch information that might emerge Ostensen. So tell us more about this.
Well, the lineups for Viking kind of not leaked out, but what they are training on the ground is that they play 4-3-3 with Østensen as a winger, with Berisha on top, Høyland on the bench, and Butici on the other winger. So as a striker 5.0, yeah, sure, he is a budget player and might deliver in this game, but well, he is a placeholder for someone else, like Høyland, Delanley will get in the mix.
Yeah. Well, speaking about Viking, we have a question from Sohraj Singh. Thanks for joining the stream. He's asking about Subulansson, if I pronounce his name correctly. Is he a nailed on, and is he a good option within Viking?
Unfortunately, I would say for Sebulonsson, it looks like, as I said, it's another formation, which means that they're gone from like 4 central midfielders to 3. And those 3 is Furdal, Ibrahimai, and Løkberg. And there is kind of not a chance to get in there because those 3 are so good. But if they change back to 4-4-2 diamond, there is a spot up for grabs. And then maybe Sebulonsson will get that place.
Interesting one. So Bielsa is pretty much formation dependent. Right. So to end off the, I think we have a couple of more questions. Let's grab them quickly. Stats don't lie from our Slack. He's asking whether Borvin is worth the 11 million, especially with Rashani injured and a new manager at the helm. I think he is fairly priced based on the stats of last season, but the question will be whether he will perform as an 11 million striker. Maybe not. But I will give you the other part of the question, Espen. Is asked you which mid-price forwards between 7 and 8.5 million do we like? Strand Larsen, Salvesen, Kalman, who else? So Strand Larsen, he blanked in every preseason match, and Moss, he is the star for the spotlight. But tell us about these prices and which ones you would go for.
Well, I don't have any of them in my team, so that's a reason for sure. But if I would go for one of them, it would be Strand Larsen. He's been in my team for a long time, and yeah, maybe he will be there when the season kicks off tomorrow. But as you say, Moss is there. Yeah, Strand Larsen is nailed. They said from Sarpsborg he will play as a striker in the first game. But for how long will he play the second game if he don't score the first game? So I've gone for 3 strikers I know will play. But other options, if you go up to 9, we have both Berisha and Bamba from Viking and Brann that for sure will play many minutes. I would prefer Bamba from Brann. And lower 8.5 you have Salvesen, as stats don't lie mentioned. And if Bodø Glimt decides which striker will play, and I think it's Kasper Junker, and he are playing a lot, then he might be an alternative later. He's got a hat-trick in the last game for Stabæk last season, for example. Do you have someone else here?
Yeah, there might be some options. They are less appealing, but I will throw them as early differential picks. I like the look of Hagen of Alessand. Is a team that plays with two forwards. So the first one is Fredjonsson at 7.5, but you can also go for Hagen at 6.5. They are untested. We don't know how Ellison will perform in Eliteserien this season, so they are on a wait and see list.
Do you have some update right there? Because I know I said to you that Haugen is nailed at the top, but it looks like they are changing a bit in the formation here. So Fridjonsson will be like a lonely striker instead, and then Haugen is on the bench. So that is kind of a problem with him.
No, I did not hear of any later change in the formation. Well, I know that they play 3-5-2 formation, so
looks that like 3-4-3 might be. I'm not sure, but it looks like in the article that Slack users know about where the predicted lineups.
Okay.
So he wasn't there.
Yeah, maybe then I will just skip these names, and I'll go to another name that I heard it on VG Live. It's a Norwegian channel. It looks like the Boniface is ahead of Junker in Bodø Glimt attack. 8.0. Yeah, they will share a lot of minutes, and it will be easy for Boniface to lose his place if he does not perform for Junker. But both at 8.0, it's a gamble to which one to go for. Assuming that Boniface is ahead of them, you might start the season with him. But I would rather start with a nailed-on player. So to be honest, there are not many players. I think you mentioned Williamson. I'll probably missed that out. About 8.5. Yeah, for 8.0 of Valorindia. You mentioned last stream that the coach of Odd last season tend to do well defensively and do some magic with the forward. So we hope that
Yeah.
Williamson will be the new Borvin of this season, and the Valorinda defense will be a good one. Odd haven't kept a lot of clean sheets, but there was some kind of solidity in some games they haven't played. So these are the names, really. Not much.
Yeah.
Hastad at 4.5 could be a good bench fodder. If you look for a 3-5-2 formation, he might get minutes, but this is the like of a Greenwood or Martinelli in Premier League who have never been given a chance. So I think this is it. I think we have one more question from the Twitter, which is very interesting. We've never talked about, which is Chip. So Ryan Walker, welcome back to Eliteserien, Ryan Walker. He was, I think, top 3 last season for the Eliteserien for our channel mini league. Could using the double captain in game week 1 on Ikram and James be an option? Is going for both of them and Borvin too much? We've covered the triple premium options, but we haven't spoken about using any chip. Is that in your consideration?
I have not considered the chips. I wrote an article about it, and I think the chips are really wait and see. We can't use them because there might be some double rounds later on when the Europe League starts again, maybe, and there's so many things we don't know about. Maybe it's like just a team that has to go to quarantine sometime because they are corona sick or something. So there might be a double rounds later on, which means we have to wait with the chips till then. The only chip I could play, not in the first round, but early on, is Spiss Rush. Because if you have 3 strikers in form playing weaker teams, I think you could go for the Spiss Rush, because it's really hard to predict before a double round which 3 strikers, and they have to be in form as well. So that's a tricky one.
Yes, for me, I'm not considering any chip. It will be exciting, but we don't know how things will turn up during the summer or the COVID-19 situation. Whether we hope that things will remain really good in Norway, but if we get any postponements or double game weeks in the future, that might be an option. But I'm not considering using any chip at the minute, but it's exciting option to kick off like a monster this season. The last question we have before we share our teams is from David Witherston. Is asking about 4.5 or 4.0 goalkeepers. I don't think that we have a 4.0 goalkeeper, but there are a couple of 4.5 goalkeepers, so you can mention them.
Yeah, I always said that Myra from Strømsgodset is the best goalkeeper on 4.5, but I know everyone is not agree with me, because Strømsgodset last season defensively not good at all. The defenders doesn't look good enough to keep a lot of clean sheets. So I depend on the saves on Myra first of all, and then I also think that Strømsgodset will have a better season this year and get more clean sheets than last year. But at 4.5, you also have in Ålesund Andreas Lie, but I know Kongshavn, the second keeper, is pretty close, and they have a really close call who's starting. Even though I think Lie will start, there might not be many games before Kongshavn is in. Kristiansund, I wouldn't go for Mbai because Holmen Johansen from Brann is joining Kristiansund now, so no option. In Start, you have Doimland, but you have also Vikne, who played for Viking last season, who might get that spot pretty soon. Some rumors says it might be his from the start, but I think Doimland will start, but even though it's not the way to go. But someone has talked about this Mjøndalen goalkeeper Makani. And you went for Solholm Johansen. So if you accept some clean sheets at home maybe and then saves away, there might be the solution, but I still think that William Myhra is the better option if you don't go higher in the price, so 5.0.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that's for the backup, the question about the backup keeper, but you look for a main goalkeeper, I think you have to go higher. You have to go for 5.0, 6 million goalkeepers. There are not many 4.5 like first choice unless you get save points. Clayson or Valeria looks to be offering good value at 5.0. So yeah, let's move on to latest game week 1 draft. Espen, I'll put your team again. You already mentioned some names that are locked in your team, and who are the players that may go. Which players on your watch list as well?
I'm losing you, Karam.
Yeah.
I don't know if...
yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I was asking about the team sheet, your team. Which players are locked in, which players you look for on your watch list? Make your team.
Yeah, locked in is pretty much many of those guys here. I'm not sure about the Berven issue, which again means they have to do some change in the midfield. I think Saletros will stay anyway now. That means if I'm changing something, Berg actually will go. And I will play 5 midfielders and upgrade Berg to like my goal or someone on that price that we talked about earlier. And I thought about going for a 4.5 striker and skip Berven out. But if I get Berven out, I would rather go for Williamson, Strand Larsen, something like that, because then I can afford Ibrahimai, for example, instead of Berg. But players that's not safe also is Pereira from Viking and Borchgrevink from Vålerenga on my bench. Pereira is there as a differential. I know he can take some corners, he can take some free kicks, he's an offensive left back, he can shoot, and he also, maybe not last year, so many bonus points, but he's a player that I think will get more bonus points this season, just 2 last season, so that's not much to talk about. But for sure, Bojang is safe, Solheim is safe, Sandberg, Zachariasen, Eikrem, James, and Kinoshita is there for sure, as long as they start. If someone doesn't start, suddenly I have to go somewhere else.
Oh, very well. Looks very decent team indeed. A 3-4-3. I do have the same formation, but different players. I've gone for the players I think that they are locked in are pretty much my midfield. Sindronagel is pretty much locked in. Zachariasen is also locked in. Sandberg and Maigard. Those are players that they are heavily involved in their attack, in their team's attack. I'm currently with James and Borvin, heavy in forwards, with Kenoshita as well as a third option, a third forward. I've gone for Solheim just because I want that guarantee from Stabæk defense. Vogt and Jonassen are cheaper, but they will share the spots. So I've gone for Solheim at 5.0. Dessler is most likely locked in. I like the cover from Harrison. A 5.5 is a good price. Ideally, I want Stolas, but I don't know if he will even start or not. Clayson is the main goalkeeper at 5.0, and I've got his backup hug at 4.0, so just to make sure that I have got enough cover from Valorant. And I know I will not a triple or need more than a triple, so I'm happy to go with 2 goalkeepers. It's like a Ryan and Button, a sort of goalkeeper and backup. My bench is Boyang, Alvestad from Christiansson. I think they rotate nicely with Stabik, I believe, with the home and away, and even the fixtures. We don't know if it's a home and away, if it matters or not, but we know that we have 200 spectators for each game to go and watch the game. So home advantage is back, maybe, but at least they can rotate nicely with some other defenders when necessary. And Bird is the 5th midfielder who is sharing the last fodder spot. There might be some changes in defense. Maybe Borvin. I don't know. I feel I want Borvin. But I want Ikrim too. So I can't decide how am I going to do with that.
The question with our teams, if you look at both of them, I have Saletros and Eikrem. You have Maigard and Sinkernagel.
Yeah.
Who will give the most points? Saletros, Eikrem, or Maigard and Sinkernagel?
It's a tricky one. I do feel that these two I have is gonna offer more points because they are talisman. They are offering good value. Ikram, you will really feel the value if you really captain him week in, week out, in which I will do pretty much with James. Having both of them will mean that you will captain one of them at best. So I feel that James can get as many points as Ikram. The combination.
Uhi is back. He said, I'm back. Is that a problem now?
Yeah, I remember last season when they played together, he took a winger spot. Yeah, so I don't think that James will be dropped. But of course, with a tight schedule, he might share some minutes with Uhi. But he is the main man. I think James will keep his spot. I feel it.
I think so too.
Yeah. All right. So this is the end of the stream. We are just about 55 minutes, Espen. So it's a long one, but we are very excited to game week 1. So I want to say thank you very much to everyone who joined the stream here in the chat, for the comments, interesting chat as well. Good luck with game week 1 drafts, and follow us. Here is the Twitter handles for me, Espen, and Jakob. It's here on the screen. Follow us. We will share the team sheets between 15 to 10 minutes before the deadline, whenever we have it revealed from the club. So we look forward to the Eliteserien Fantasy, Espen, and good luck as well with the tinkering until tomorrow. And take care.
Thank you so much, and you too, Karam.
Yeah. Cheers, everyone, and don't forget to drop the like and subscribe to the channel and join us on the Slack. The link is in the description below. Good luck, everyone.